Good evening. Look like y'all are really ready. Let me go ahead on and call our regular session for November 16th council meeting to order. I'll ask Ms. Only for the roll call.
Malinowski,
Here.
Pugh,
Here.
McBride, Livingston,
Here.
Horatio,
Here.
Joe Walker,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
Overture Walker,
Here.
English,
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum. Mackey.
Thank you.
Got you.
Thank you. Please be informed that Ms. McBride did inform me that she was ill and will not be able to make the meeting, but if possible, she would try and sign on. That brings us to item 2 on our agenda. That is the invocation, and following that, the Pledge of Allegiance, item 3, and will be led by the Honorable Bill Malinowski for the invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just recently celebrated a holiday. Everybody got a day off for Veterans Day. And I would just like everyone to remember to thank all those veterans that have served in the past, that are currently serving, and that may assist our country in the future in serving, especially for those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, not to mention those families that also have to endure some hardships along the way. So I'd just like to ask that we remember all those individuals during our daily tasks, whenever it's a matter of, you may not agree with a protest that takes place, but these people put it all on the line so we can do it. So if you'll join me now for the pledge, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malinowski.
Welcome.
That brings us to item 4 on your agenda. That is approval of the minutes, and that's the minutes for our special call meeting for November 9th. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and properly seconded. Any discussions, reference to minutes, changes, deletions? Ms. Newton, you recognize.
Mr. Chair, on page 12 of the minutes, there is an item, I was traveling, and so I joined late remotely, and I am listed as both not being present and as making a motion. I think that maybe someone else made the motion for that item.
Page 12.
Was item 14.
Okay.
Page
Did you get
12
that?
of our packet, and that's listed as page 5 of the minutes.
Yes, sir.
Else?
Is that the one under I?
Yes.
Okay.
Not, it's been moved and properly second. Ms. Only, can you call the roll for the motion to adopt the minutes?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very much. Agenda is adopted. That brings us to item 6 on your agenda. That's a report. Yes, that is a report of the attorney for executive session items. Mr. Wright, you recognize.
Didn't we just approve the minutes?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
We should
I'm
be
sorry,
on.
no, adoption of the agenda, excuse me. Entertain motion for adoption of the agenda. It's removed.
Second.
Proper second. Mr. Brown, do you have anything reference to the agenda?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? If not, it's been moved and proper second for adoption of the agenda. Ms. Can you call the roll for adoption of the agenda?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Brings item 5 on your agenda. That's the report of the attorney for executive session items. Mr. Wright, you recognize.
Yes, Your Honor. Chair, I have one item to discuss. William Coggins versus Richland County pursuant to section 30-4-70A2 for legal advice.
I think we have two items under the employee evaluation report, items 18A and B. Is anything else reference executive session, Mr. Wright?
No, Your Honor. No, sir. Chair.
Item 7,
You keep calling him that, he's gonna want a raise.
I want my salary doubled. That would be, that put us to item 7 on your agenda, citizen input. The first is an item on the agenda not requiring a public hearing.
No one signed up to speak.
No one signed up to speak. I was looking over to Ms. McBride, who normally handles that, and she wasn't there. Item 8 on your agenda, citizen input, item pertaining to Richland County matters not on the agenda, items for which a public hearing is required or a public hearing has been scheduled. Ms. Owner, did anyone sign up to speak at that second public hearing?
No one signed up to speak.
That public hearing is open,
Mr.
not
Christ
closed.
just said that someone got here too late to sign up.
I got it like 6:01.
That was no one signed up to speak? Or what are you saying? There's someone,
This gentleman right here didn't get a chance to sign up, but he'd like to speak.
they come down and give me your, make sure you state your name and address, and you have 2 minutes to speak.
Sure. My name is David Oberly. I live at 2434 Paxton Street. I come to talk about the current mask ordinance, which I think is unnecessary. I have a graph here showing Lexington County, which is scale for population, compared to Richland County, with a line showing when y'all put a mask mandate in, you can't see any change in the trajectory of the graph of COVID cases. If I did not tell you which county was which, you would never know. As you can see, pre-mandate and post-mandate, the trajectory does not change. If anything, cases actually have decreased. The decrease has decreased. And I have that graph here too, to show you actually cases are leveling off at a faster rate than they were before the mask mandate. So I feel like it's very quixotic for this mandate. Let's see. Next, I have been letting people know about the illegal road fee, including media. I know you have the excuse for not being able to comment on it because of litigation, but I tell you and anyone listening that we are not letting it go. Word is getting out. I'm making sure lots of people know about this. So lastly, I would ask you to end the mask mandate because, again, I have data showing that you're not doing anything. It's not changing anything with the numbers. In fact, South Carolina as a state today is lowest in the country for COVID transmission, but you don't hear that in the media. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Brings to item 9 on your agenda, which is report of the county administrator. Mr. Brown, you recognize?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of council. With us just having a meeting last week, I do not have a new report for this week, Mr. Chair.
That brings the item.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Newton, you recognize?
may I have a point of personal privilege, sir? I thought that you might mention COVID, and that might be a natural opportunity for me to mention a COVID vaccination event that we are hosting as the county this Saturday. So for anyone who is listening, the county is partnering with Prisma Health, Representative Jermaine Johnson. We are hosting a COVID vaccination event at the Sheriff's Substation on Lower Richland Boulevard from 11 to 2. In addition to that, the nonprofit Carolina for All is going to be giving away Thanksgiving food baskets with meat, with canned goods, etc. And in addition to that, the county is giving away an $100 gift card on a first-come, first-served basis to those persons who are getting their first COVID shot. So again, we are partnering this Saturday, the 20th, from 11 to 2 at the Lower Richland Sheriff's Substation. For first shot, second shot, booster shots. Shots will also be available for children 5 to 12. So this is an excellent opportunity to come promote your safety, the safety of others, enjoy a $100 gift card, enjoy a Halloween. I enjoyed Halloween, but also I enjoy Thanksgiving, which is coming, Thanksgiving food basket. So I just encourage everyone to come out. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your indulgence.
I bring us to item 10 on our agenda. That's reported in interim clerk of council. Ms. Only.
Yes, sir. I have an update on the retreat locations. Ms. Black has been working with me on this, and she has contacted the Madron at Clemson, the Embassy Suites in downtown Charleston, and the Embassy Suites in North Charleston. We've heard back from the Madron, and they can accommodate us on January the 26th and 28th through the 28th. And Embassy Suites in downtown Charleston can accommodate us on January the 19th through the 21st. We have not heard back from the North Charleston Embassy Suites at this time.
Just, I mean, real quick for me again, at least. Charleston, you said, what was the dates?
January the 19th through the 21st, and the Madron can accommodate us January the 26th through 28th, which is when we usually have the retreat.
Regarding the retreat and this response, based on this information, you want to be recognized?
Mr. Chair, just a question for the interim clerk. Ms. Only, I noticed you mentioned Clemson. Was that the closest hotel that we could find in the Greenville area?
That is the location that we've always used when we went upstate, so we contacted them first.
And one last thing, is this an action item, something that we need a motion on tonight?
It would be nice if we could go ahead and nail down a location so that we can start planning from.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess, can you provide this in writing? Because I wasn't really hearing what you were saying. Clemson what?
It's the Madron Center at Clemson. We've used them in the past, and they can accommodate us on January the 26th to the 28th. And then downtown Charleston Embassy Suites is where we've went in Charleston, and they can do it January the 19th to the 21st. But I can send this out in writing, and I also have the some additional information from the Madron Center.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we should also find out, is there an opportunity for videoing, teleconferencing, Zooming, whatever electronic means you want to call it, and how that's going to work? Can we use our own people? We have to pay additional charge, and they have to do it for us?
We will have to contract someone to do the live streaming either place we stay. I've already spoke with Angela this afternoon, and we don't have the capabilities to live stream, so we would have to contact someone.
Can you give us whatever those costs will be, please?
Yes, sir. I'll find out and
Thank
let you
you.
know.
Oh, just make sure you get that information.
Yes, sir.
That brings the report of the chair. Then I have a report. Brings item 12, approval of consent items. It's 12A and 12B. Chair, entertain a motion reference consent items.
Move to approve items 12A and 12B.
Second.
Approval 12A and B and properly second discussion. There being none, Ms. Only, can you call the roll for items, for the motion for items 12A and B?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Either of these items need to be reconsidered.
Question for staff. Is there a need for either of these items to be reconsidered?
No one mentioned to me, Mr. Chair, there was a matter of time sensitivity on either one of these items, sir.
Brings item 13 on your agenda, and that is the third reading items, and that's item 13A and 13B. 13A, an ordinance making certain changes to Article 1, Chapter 6 of the Code of Ordinance of Richland County relating to business license and regulations. Chair, take a motion. Motion. Questions? Motion for
Second.
approval. It's in proper second discussion. Mr. Malinak, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to be clear that we are only approving the state requirements that are in front of us here and not any of the other content in the ordinance, that is staying the same as it was, and any changes we'd like to make to that would be done at a later time.
Mr. Malinowski, that's my understanding. I'm not sure if we have Mr. Kavanaugh here.
Yeah, I was looking, I didn't see him.
Is he on the Zoom? Yeah, he's on the Zoom, Mr. Malinowski. Mr. Chair, if you make it recognize Mr. Kavanaugh. Go ahead, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, members of council. So, yeah, Mr. Malinowski, I just want to make sure that everybody's clear that the amendments that are before you tonight are only for the changes to comply with the new state law. And
Thank you
any
very
of the
much,
other-
Mr. Kavanaugh. Thank you very much, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yes, sir.
Questions? All right, it's in proper second. Reference item 13A. Ms. Hunt, can you call the roll for the vote for item 13A?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston, Teresa,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes?
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Brings item 13B on your agenda as an ordinance amending the Richland County Code of Ordinance so as to adopt the Richland County Land Development Code rewrite and to replace Chapter 26 Land Development Code. Judge, in motion. Wish for approval for
Second.
discussion, it's properly second. Discussion. You recognize Mr. Walker?
Yeah, Mr. Brown, I just want to confirm that the amendment does in fact do away with any reference to or implementation of a moratorium of rezoning. Is that what I understand this to correct, so to speak?
That is my understanding. We do have planning and zoning. If we could clarify just fully here.
Yeah,
to answer
just
that
on the record, if I could get somebody to state that this does away with any rezoning moratorium as a part of the LDC rewrite, that would be great.
Yes, sir. GNR Price, zoning administrator, deputy CP&D director. We heard a number of comments regarding the moratorium and the concerns that were raised, particularly from the development community. We had an actual meeting with members of the development community to discuss, see if we could find a middle ground that will work for staff as we go forward with our remapping upon the adoption of the text, and also something that will work for them. What you have before you is what we put a consensus between us where up until December the 1st, anyone can come in and ask for a rezoning for our current zoning designations. After December the 1st, from December the 1st on, they can ask for a rezoning request for a district that will be found under the new land development code rewrite. So rezonings will still be allowed during that time. And also, you've noticed that we removed the term moratorium from the ordinance.
Thank you very much, and I really do appreciate the effort that staff put forward to get this across the goal line. So thanks to you and your team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and council colleagues. And so as it relates to these changes, I certainly understand that as we adopt the new land development code, that what this is proposing is that people could request rezonings according to the new code. My request would be that in my area, which is an area where we have constant conflict between the comprehensive plan and zoning recommendations, that we allow the original pause in rezonings that was proposed for District 11 as it works for those other districts in the county to rezone with the new designations. I think that's fine, but because of the history that we have in District 11 with problems with rezoning and having it match the lived character of the area, I think that it would be prudent for District 11 for us to have that original proposal of the 6 months where we wait until the remapping is finished before we have additional rezonings. And I would be happy to make that in the form of a motion if that's what we need.
Ms. Newton, I think it will have to be in the form of a motion and explaining the articulable reason for the variance from the other districts. But it will have to be in the form of a motion.
Or let me work on the language here. Then I would move that the county adopt the ordinance here with the exception that rezonings are paused in District 11 until the remapping process is complete to allow for fixing problems with the comprehensive plan as it relates to zoning.
Second.
That was a,
Oh, I thought it was
I don't know if I said it was an amendment or not. It was
it's a
just a motion.
Since there was a motion already on
I'll
the,
accept the substitute motion.
So it's the substitute motion.
right.
I'll accept the substitute motion. It's moving properly second. Any discussion on the substitute motion? Mr. Malinowski,
question.
you recognize then Mrs.
Yeah, my question is about the overall land development code, but once we pass this motion, we're done, right? I would just say, we were told that, that we could send any comments or questions we had about this code to staff, and they'd look at them, work with us. I go way back to asking several years ago about general commercial, asking why we lump all general commercial into just one category and why we don't have subcategories, because there are obviously different types of general commercial out there, of which some don't need as much of a general commercial as others. But all along, I've never received an answer as to why that can't be put into this code. I don't expect an answer now to delay it. I'm just saying that's only one of several things that I have asked for over time that we keep being told council will have the opportunity to have their input. Well, I've been given my input since the first work session we had probably a year ago. And I'm still waiting for answers. All I keep seeing is the exact same thing that staff came up with every time put in front of us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have the Horatio and then, go ahead, Ms. Horatio. I think Ms. Barron was next.
Thank you. My question is a little bit about process, and I'm asking it in public. Otherwise, I would just ask staff, but hopefully it'll be helpful for the public to know. Just in terms of, okay, so we'll have zoning, let's say Thursday. We will vote on those items on Thursday, and then after December 1st, people will start applying for the new zoning. In December, we will have zoning. Will we be voting on items that are in the queue from before? Can you kind of guide us through that, how this will all happen? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We're kind of anticipating that question.
Okay.
So you're correct. Starting from December 1st on, any rezoning requests that come in will have to meet the new land development code requirements, at least for us districts. There are a few projects or rezoning requests, excuse me, that are in the queue that you will still hear. We have a few that will come in December. I know for sure though there are at least 2 zoning requests that council will hear at the zoning public hearing in December. And I believe Councilwoman English actually deferred one until February of next year. So that is one that you will hear that will still be part of the current land development code. But from December 1st on, it should be, other than those 3 that I can think of off the top of my head right now, that all of the rezoning requests will be under the new land development code rewrite.
Okay. Can I follow up? So then we will vote, will we be voting, say, in February, March, and April on items that are going to be under the new code?
Yes.
Okay. But they'll kind of have to sit there until May?
Yes. Looking at those, any items that come will start, let's say, ideally would go to the planning commission in the beginning of February and go to county council on the 4th Tuesday of February. And it will still need 2 additional readings, which will be March. So they will, if ideally it all goes through and they get approval, the approval will be April, the first meeting you have in April. It would have to sit there until May. So you're really talking about at maybe 3 weeks to a month. But of course, that is with the understanding that council will approve the maps during that time. You know, any delays or deferrals on the behalf of council would push that forward.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
We get clarification on that, please. He
Quick
mentioned
clarification.
council approving the maps. Can you tell us how these maps will be created? Individual council members? You folks doing it all? What?
Yes, sir. We're gonna come up essentially will be a conceptual mapping throughout for Richland County. During that time, we will of course get with each council member to look specifically at your district to get some of your feedback, kind of agreement or maybe any questions that you may have regarding specific areas within your district.
Have, Baron and
Just a quick question for you, Mr. Price. And as we are making this change, how are we communicating this change with the citizens of Richland County?
Yes, ma'am. I think one of the things we've talked about before was once we get the text in place, we'll know exactly which districts that we'll be centrally working with. We will get this information out to the citizens. We're looking to do mail out similar to when you get your tax bills, explaining that due to the adoption of the new land development code, your property's current zoning will be changed to whatever the new zoning designation will be. During that time, staff will have numerous meetings within the communities. We've identified all of the Richland County recreation facilities as places to have community meetings. In addition, we want to make sure that if nothing else, we want to work with council. If any of the council members identify specific areas or groups that you would like for us to meet with, we'll be more than happy to also include those as meetings with the community and the public. And we will also be meeting with the various shareholders also to discuss the mapping.
So I apologize, my question was not clear.
Okay.
My question is, if we are now going to be implementing the new codes for anyone who is applying for rezoning, how is that being communicated to anyone who would be applying for rezoning? Will they find out when they come to the office, or will we do some type of presser? What?
We can, and that's something we will look at. Again, for a moment, we've had a number of people have inquired about rezoning their property over the last month or so. But the understanding was that there was a moratorium in place. However, with those changes, we as a staff will contact those same applicants to notify them of the changes. And we would the process is normal. Someone comes in, we would explain the differences in the zoning requests that they'll be making. And again, that's something that we can also look to put on at least our county website to let everyone know what the changes are as it comes to rezonings.
I would just like to encourage the staff, just how we put out the word that there was a moratorium. We need to put out the word that there is no longer a moratorium, and what the expectations are from the county perspective. I don't think that it's fair to the citizens to come to us and then they found that information. It might not be a bad idea, and it may not be any harm in that. But as we talk about making sure that people have access to the information, I would like to see us to go the extra mile just to say, by the way, this has changed. It's unfortunate that the media is not here today so they could help us spread that. But since they're not, as we said yesterday, we got to tell our own story.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you. And we'll agree with that, and we'll look to make sure we get this out as best as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have Ms. Mackett in Livingston.
Thank you. I just wanted to find out from staff in relation to Ms. Newton's motion regarding just singling out District 11. Are there any concerns from a legal perspective or from staff perspective in being able to process that in-house?
I'll defer to legal at this time.
I think, like I stated earlier, the one thing that, in order to do a variance for a specific district, there has to be an articulable reason for that variance for that area. So, I think she gave a reason, so it's up to the council to vote whether they accept that reason or not.
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Oh, the substitute motion, what substitute motion is clearly saying is that we'll have a moratorium for District 11. Is that what the motion is saying? If we, with the exception of all the other areas of the county, you'd have a moratorium for District 11.
I think that's the substance from what I heard of it.
Point of clarification. Does it approve what's here with the exception of District 11? Is that what we're going for? All right, thank you.
Want to make a motion, want to state that reason again, you can hear, yes.
Thank you. So I don't know that I'll say it exactly the way that I said it the last time, but that continuing to rezone makes sense in areas where the comprehensive plan is in harmony with the zoning and the zoning request. However, in my area, what I have is consistent conflict between zoning recommendations and what the comprehensive plan says. So given that we are redoing the land development code and updating the mapping, it would only introduce more conflict and more problems to continue to rezone until that's resolved.
With a question reference substitute motion. There being none, I'll ask Ms. Owen to call the roll for the substitute motion.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Oh, wait, hold on. No.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston,
No?
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
No.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
As that bring us to 14 items. 14A, authorizing the execution of delivery of fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Carolina Pines Industrial LLC to provide for payment of fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other matters. And that came out of the Legal Development Committee. It was recommended for approval, and that's a second reading item. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
For approval, proper second discussion. Mr. Malick, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This council, as a body, makes approvals or denials for many things, to include these economic development matters. And on page 62 of our agenda, and this is under section 3 and 4, and this is written in here every single time, it says that there are 3 people, the chair, the administrator, and the clerk, that are authorized to execute whatever documents are needed to take further actions that may be necessary to complete this expansion or to negotiate and deliver further documents to get this approved. And I just feel that if as a body we approve this, why a singular individual would be able to approve some change to get this enacted, and why it should not come back to the full council. Now, I've been told, well, that's the way that it's always been done, and this is verbiage that's always in there, and so we just continue to follow it. But I have a problem with allowing only one person dictate what would happen to get changes done to get an approval. And if that's the case, then why are we all voting on it to begin with? Let's just have that one person vote on it and make that decision. So for that reason, I'll vote no, and I'd like to see these words changed in these matters that we continue to vote on. Thank you.
Let me see, can you get a response to that? Certainly, I've never changed anything, but let me see if you can get a response to that language.
Mr. Chair, may I ask just a clarifying question? Mr. Malinowski, can you reference, is there a page or clause that you're?
Yeah, page 62 of the agenda, under section 3 and section 4.
Thank you.
And I've already expressed my concerns to Director Rubel of the Economic Development Department.
Talk on that. Further questions?
I would just like to know, out of curiosity, are there a lot of documents that need to be signed? Is there one? Can we understand a little bit more about the nature of what usually happens?
Is what's usually executed is exactly what council approves.
So just this document that's included in our packet is generally all that the chair would need to execute. Okay.
Yeah. You said, go ahead.
Legal matter, these are form documents that were vetted between outside counsel and inside legal counsel. They're used just about every deal. Mr. Malinowski asked this question. Ms. Luther with Parker Poe responded, and we sent that to an email to him today. It was unfortunately probably too late for him to see it today, but it's a fairly lengthy explanation of the situation. What I would suggest is if Mr. Malinowski wants to discuss it further, we can schedule a later time to do that. But we do have a response to it already. Thank you, sir.
I'll look forward to Director Rubel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Malinowski, you get an opportunity to, because this is the second reading item. Any further discussion? It's not. Ms. Owen, can you call the roll for the motion on item 14A?
Malinowski.
No.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That brings us to item 15 on your agenda. That's the report of the Economic Development Committee. In the absence of the Honorable Yvonne McBride, Mr. Overture Walker, who's a member of that committee, will give that report. Mr. Walker, you recognize?
Mr. Chair, the Economic Development Committee has 2 items on tonight's agenda, beginning with item 15A, which can be found on pages 94 through 104, authorizing, approving, ratifying, and consenting to the partial assignment and assumption of an infrastructure credit and incentive agreement from NL Ventures, North Point LLC, to MTP 1410, North Point Boulevard LLC, and other related matters. Last year, council consented to the transfer of incentives from PPT Real Estate Enterprises to a third-party group called NL Ventures. This resolution similarly provides council's consent to the transfer of incentive benefits related to an infrastructure credit from NL Ventures to a long-term owner property associated with Samara Road, which is a national real estate investment group.
His recommendation is?
The recommendation of the committee is approval.
Thank you, Jeff. The committee's recommendation, discussion. There being none, Ms. Owen, can you call the roll for the committee's recommendation for item 15A?
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Walker?
Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda from the Economic Development Committee is item 15B, which is consenting to and ratifying the partial assignment and assumption of a fee in lieu of tax and incentive agreement from NL Ventures North Point LLC to MTP 1410 North Point Boulevard LLC and other related matters. This item can be found on the agenda, pages 105 through 115, and the committee recommends approval.
For the committee's recommendation and discussion. There being none, Ms. Only can you call the roll for the committee's recommendation for item 15B.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston. Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That brings the item 16.
Mr. Chair, that's the report of the committee.
Thank you very much. That brings item 16, report of the Rules and Appointments Committee. Mr. Mount, the Honorable Bill Malinowski, you recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You look at 16A, the motion is that all county council contracts and agreements adopted by a majority vote of the full council will require a majority vote of the full council to amend and or change. The committee reviewed this and came forward with a recommendation in favor to approve this particular motion.
The committee's recommendation and discussion. Mr. Malinowski, you recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One item that is allowable in Robert's rules and has been allowable in council rules because we follow the Roberts rules is that pluralities are allowed when it's time to vote. And so if someone makes a motion that would indicate a plurality is what they were looking for, any other council member can make a substitute motion and say, no, I want to see a majority vote to pass or deny that particular item. So I don't think that this is needed to be put into our rules because the ability is already there to either do a plurality vote or do a majority vote. So based on that, my recommendation is that we just leave everything as it is. So my motion would be, substitute motion would be to leave our rules as they are because any council member can ask for a plurality vote, a majority vote, or a unanimous vote. It's already there. So that's my motion.
Point of order, Mr. Chair? Just a question. So when a recommendation comes out of committee,
Make a substitute
you can
motion.
make a substitute motion?
Let me just briefly speak to that, and yes, you can. My concern is.
Well, Mr. Chair, you didn't get a second. I didn't get a second.
Okay.
So if that's the case, you don't need
Well,
to speak.
Fair for lack of a second, thank you. Will that put us back to the committee's recommendation? Any further discussion of the committee's recommendation? If not,
I'm sorry, I do. I heard the motion and the explanation, and I also heard Mr. Malinowski's comment. I guess I'm just wondering, for my information, if we could instantiate this, I'm trying to understand.
I'll quick speak to it then. You know, for example, let's say we could make a motion, for example, on a major decision like a major contract or to hire someone, and that would require a majority vote. But we can dismiss someone with that same person with a minority vote, because, for example, we could say we're going to have three options. We're going to vote to terminate this person. If you can choose one of the three options, and one of the three options may only require 4 votes, or less than a majority vote. I don't think you ought to be able to dismiss someone for votes that you was sick. Further discussion.
Yeah, and just for clarification, my point was that every council member has the option to ask for the majority vote at that point in time. So we don't necessarily have to dismiss them for a minority vote. Thank you.
For discussion. Ms. Long, can you call for the motion reference committee's recommendation?
Malinowski.
No.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker. Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton. Motion passes.
That completes my report, Mr. Chair.
That brings item 17 on your agenda, which is report of the Coronavirus Ad Hoc Committee that will be presented by the Honorable Gretchen Barron. Ms. Barron, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first order of business is a recommendation from the Sheriff's Office. As many of you know, that we are very fortunate here in Richland County to have the national and the state sheriff here with us in Richland County. And because of that, he has privy to information somewhat before it comes, so we have some intel. And as a part of this intel, one of the things that we would like to do from this committee is make a recommendation to be proactive in providing mental health check-ins for our deputies. And specifically, we're requesting that these funds come out of our ARP funding in the amount of $16,250 through 2026. And after that time, funds will be found to continue the funding from this point. That's the committee's recommendation.
This recommendation discussion. Mr. Manos, you recognize.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I mean, I support this effort. I just had a couple questions. And one of them was that if this program is approved for the sheriff to enter into, will this be something that every deputy will be mandated to attend and check into the program, or is it voluntary?
Mr. Chair, we do have Chief Hollis Post with us today, and I'd like, if you may,
Good evening, everybody. Councilman Malinowski, to answer your question directly, it would be mandatory as part of their employment with the Sheriff's Department, just like their annual department physical.
Yes, that's where I got the problem. I was hoping you were going to say be volunteer. Why would it be mandatory then? And what's going to happen to these results? Because will the results be something that can be used to either demote or dismiss an individual?
No. The goal of the program is to provide resources for the deputies to make sure that they are mentally sound to perform the work they are doing. Our goal is to avoid and actually prevent officer suicide is what we're trying to do. And this program is simply to make sure that the deputy has an opportunity to sit in front of, actually not even sit in front of, it can be done over the phone, it can be Zoom, but speak with a mental health professional annually to make sure that they have an opportunity to talk to somebody and get help if the mental health clinician or whoever they speak to on the phone has reason to believe they need further follow-up.
Okay. On page 120 of our agenda, under this design by purpose letter that came in, it indicates in here that prior to the start of the program, October 1st, is this something that's already been started and we're approving it after the fact again?
No, sir. Not at all. No, we have not started this program. That was a letter that we got early on in the program to kind of outline what it was. And no, we have not started the program yet.
And what does it mean when it says referrals will be made pending the individual provides consent for referrals? Referrals to who and for what?
So if they were referred for follow-up, there's basically, they will call in, they will speak to somebody, and they will be referred if the clinician on the other end of the phone thinks they need to be referred for follow-up. That's the end of it at that point.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mr. you recognize.
Thank you. One of the things I like about this program is that it treats mental health as health, right? And hopefully serves to destigmatize any associations that would go with seeking mental health. And I'm assuming that beyond the reduction in suicide attempts or suicides, there would also be many other benefits to this kind of a program in terms of other kinds of violence outside themselves, and just generally help with being a person in the world. So thank you for bringing this before us. And really, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that out loud.
Thank you.
Just one last thing as a follow-up, Chief. have our deputies been provided with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline phone number?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, good, thank you.
Absolutely.
Further discussion? If not, you heard that was committee's recommendation. There's no further discussion reference to committee's recommendation. Ms. Hunt, can you call the roll?
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Here.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, our next item is our COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Relief Grant Program. Many of you may remember that council has already approved this program in its shell, but now at this point, we are somewhat behind the 8 ball, knowing that we're in year 2 now. And so we're asking that the council will take the recommendation of staff to go ahead and implement this program, noting that $300,000 will be dedicated to this program, as well as we anticipate up to 120 businesses at $15,000 each. That's the committee's recommendation.
Recommendation discussion. Unless you recognize.
That recommendation, the option that we see on page 124 of our agenda? Same thing. Under 3 alternatives, option 1.
Ron, you want to respond to that?
I do, yes, sir. That option was the initial option.
Okay. The only other question I have is on page 122. After additional fiscal budgetary matters, 1, 2, third paragraph down, second line halfway through. It says at least 70% of every grant must be expended for activities that benefit low to moderate income persons. And then you skip to the next line and it says the remaining 10% may be used to eliminate slum or blighted conditions. Well, that's only 80%. Where's the other 20% going?
So that's just letting you know what the minimum is that you have to, what you have to do.
Okay, so
you
the
can-
at
you can
least
use more
70%
funding.
could increase to 90.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha, thank you.
Further discussion.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
O. Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Here we have one final item for 17C, and that is the CDBG, CV Public Service Grants, and very similar to the business grants. We've already have a program in place, and the staff is recommending to be able to put these funds forth for our nonprofit community.
Recommendation for approval.
Yes, sir.
Your committee recommendation discussion. Mr. Maddox, you recognize.
Hey, Mr. Chair, page 150 of our agenda, alternatives and risks. It says we considered 3 alternatives. Only 2 are listed. Any chance we could get the third one?
Mr. Malinowski, we certainly can get you the alternative. It probably was similar to the alternative for the first document, maybe somehow got left off, but that we would recommend option 1 to approve. But yes, sir, we can get you that follow-up information.
Okay, also, will we be provided a list of these applicants that council has to approve, or is this something that's just done by CDBG?
That's correct. Council would not have to approve these applicants. No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Further discussion.
And Mr. Chair, might I add as well, one discussion point that came out of our committee meeting is extending the arm of our panel who will look at the applicants and extending it into our community to get them involved, the citizens get them involved into actually reviewing the grants and scoring them.
Call the roll for the committee's recommendation for item 17C.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Joe Walker. Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I do think that two of these items are time sensitive, so if we could please, if we could just go ahead and reconsider, A, B, and C, please.
There's a motion to reconsider A, B, and C. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving properly second. Ms. Owen, can you call the roll for the motion to reconsider item 17, A, B, and C?
Malinowski.
No.
Pugh.
No.
Livingston. Teratio.
No.
Joe Walker. Barron.
No.
Overture Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English.
No.
Newton. Motion fails, excuse me.
Thank you. That brings us to the report of the Employee Evaluation and Oversight Ad Hoc Committee. Ms. Newton, I think those executive session items.
They're both personnel matters that are covered by executive session.
And the next item is executive session. We have 3 executive session items. The first one under the attorney's report, William Coggins, individual on behalf of others of my first Richland County, we can call it Richland County, and then also 18 A and B, that's administration, county administrative evaluation, and the clerk to council search. The chair entertain a motion for executive session for those 3 items.
I'll move, sir.
It's been moved.
Second.
Properly second. Ms. Malinowski, you recognize.
Hey, Mr. Chair. Attorney Wright, can you tell us if why the need to go into executive session for the Coggins matter? There was already a rather in-depth article in the newspaper that explained everything that has taken place. Is there something that wasn't reported there that we need to keep secret?
Well, in order for me to give legal advice, we need to go into executive session.
All right.
Further discussion. Ms. Call the roll for the motion to go into executive session for the items mentioned.
Malinowski.
No.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
No.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
motion and a second.
Okay, motion come out of executive session.
So move, sir.
Second.
The move been properly second. Mrs. Only, can you call the roll for motion come out of executive session?
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes?
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overshaw Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We got 3 items in executive session. The first one was William Coggins versus Richland County. We took that as information. There's no action to be taken. Our next item in executive session was an item dealing with our county administrator's evaluation. We'll just proceed as discussion on that item, which would require action, is the item 18B, collective council search. To entertain a motion.
Sure.
Mr. Walker, recognized.
I move to authorize the chair to extend and enter into contract negotiations with candidate 2 for employment with the county.
Second?
The motion moving properly second in discussion. Call the roll for the motion.
Malinowski.
Ms. Only, I'm going to abstain, and for the record, the reason is that this council never did approve the advertising for a clerk, so therefore anything that came after that would have not been proper either. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Pugh.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Barron.
Ms. Only, I will be abstaining as well.
Okay. Overshaw Walker.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That brings us to item 20 on our agenda, which is the motion period. One motion moved to invite Richland County Conservation Commission to present the Lower Richland Tourism Plan to council. Isn't the Conservation Commission required to present something to us in terms of an annual, some kind of report or something?
Yes, sir, they are, but I think this item is different from that. But yes, sir, you are correct. They are required to present a plan to the county council.
I'm just trying to figure out. I'll send that to.
Mr. Chair? Would it be appropriate to ask for unanimous consent on that item?
I mean, unanimous consent to do what?
To have them present?
Oh,
And I guess another question would be, would it be in DNS?
if you don't make a motion to, you have to suspend the rules to do that, because my role is to have to send it to the committee. But yes, you could send the rules and application on this one.
Yeah, I don't understand why we need a motion. I don't know why it's not just a matter of the individuals who want the Conservation Commission to come down and make a presentation if there's a plan in place, or that they just do it. I would think they can just do it. Don't have to have a motion approved by council to do that.
We're talking about a presentation before full council.
About what?
We're talking about a presentation before full council.
Oh, I thought they wanted it presented in Lower Richland. Same thing. Can't that just be put on there as a work session for whatever? They should bring forward and say we want.
Well, then that runs into the problem. Then we could have every council member, every meeting, one of a presentation for something.
Right. Haven't we been given this in the past?
Conservation Commission.
I mean, the tourism plans and all those other special plans that we've got.
I think you're looking at me, Mr. Chair. My understanding is that the plan hasn't been approved by council, and what they are looking to do is have the council consider this plan and then potentially take action on it so that it could be a part of what the county is actually doing.
I'll send this to the DNS committee. B, proclaiming January 17, 2020 Racial Justice Week in Richland County.
Not unanimous consent for that?
Got a motion?
I move we give unanimous consent.
Motion for unanimous consent. Is there a second?
Second.
Move proper second. Ms. Orley, can you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Chair, point of personal privilege, if I may, and that is I'd like to congratulate you and Councilwoman McBride for bringing this to us well in advance of the date that you want it presented, not the week of or the week after. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion for adjournment. Is there a second?
There's already one.
I didn't hear the second.
Second.
Was moving proper second. Ms. Orley, can you call the roll? Motion to adjourn.
Malinowski,